Ms. Brenner.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0.
Thank you. You have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald,
I move to accept the agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood,
I second that.
motion by Ms. Dewald, second by Ms. Underwood to accept tonight's agenda. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. DeWald.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Ms. Brenner.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. You have the minutes from the council meeting that occurred on May 15th, 2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald,
I move to accept those minutes.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood,
I'll second that.
motion by Ms. Dewald, second by Ms. Underwood to accept the minutes from the 5:15 meeting. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. DeWald.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Ms. Brenner.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0.
All right, any communication this evening, Mr. Hedger?
Thank you, Mr. President. Only one communication that I will be absent for the July meeting. I will not be in town. That's
Thank you.
all.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald,
you said July 10th you would be absent? Mr.
Yeah, the first Monday in
Okay.
July. So that would be the 3rd.
Thank you. Oh,
from the meeting on July 3rd, yes.
Meeting on
I
July
thought he
3rd.
said the 10th, and if I, in my head, that didn't work right. We want the 3rd. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, next on the agenda is council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
We haven't met yet.
Your next meeting is when?
The 12th, June 12th,
At 6:30.
6:30.
Thank you, Ms. Brunner. Budget and Finance. Ms. Dukes-Dean is not here, but their next meeting is also on June 12th at 7:30, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right, that brings us to Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I canceled our last meeting because of the air conditioning situation at the city center. Our next meeting will hopefully be, let's see, looking, June 26th at 6:30.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. And Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. I canceled our last meeting due to the air conditioning situation. Our next public safety meeting will be June 26th at 7:30.
Thank you. Next is ad hoc reports. Does anyone have an ad hoc report this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to the administrative reports. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a few things, but I'll just make it really quick to importance. One of the things that we had talked about were the speed humps. I want to ask Ms. Underwood if I reached out to the city of Cincinnati because of those speed humps that we had discussed in your committee that are throughout the city of Cincinnati, and today I did get the information back. So if you would so kindly add that back to your committee if it's not still there, and we can discuss it then, the type of speed humps that they have and the costs that are associated with it. So I'm not sure if you want that in your committee or if you want it in finance because of the costs.
I'll add it to
your
I'll add
committee.
it to my committee. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
And one of the other things, Food Truck Friday was last Friday. Wasn't a huge crowd from what I saw, probably because there was a huge food truck rally up in Westchester on the same day. Our next Food Truck Friday, I believe, is scheduled for July 7th. We may have to move that because that is the 4th of July weekend, just to see how that works out. The flowers have already started to go in around the city center, and if you notice our welcome sign, we're getting more work done on that. And the only other thing, the CIC meeting was canceled because they did not have a quorum. The next meeting is scheduled for 4/20 at 6:30. And I did have some things from Miss Iki, but I know she's enjoying her vacation, so she didn't send those over. So just a couple updates. So I'm sure she'll get you updated on those things when she returns.
Mr. President,
Ms.
could you
Dewald.
clarify the time of that meeting again? I thought you said 4:20.
For some reason, I keep saying 7:20. This is June. Correct.
This is 6, so it's going to be 6:20.
I went all the way to July. It's the 20th.
Okay.
It's June. No, the 3rd is the 15th. The 3rd Thursday in June is the 15th at 6:30. So my apologies.
Okay,
The
thank you.
July meeting is the 20th of
Okay.
the 20th.
And what time does that start?
CIC 6:30.
Oh, thank you. I was busy
And
writing.
if there's no air, we may move it here, but
Yeah.
hopefully they can get the part and get that fixed. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions for the mayor? All right. Next on the agenda is the city administrator's report. Ms. Iki is on vacation, but I believe Troy Miller is here from Metro to present something to us. So if you please take the lectern, sir.
President of Council, council members, and mayor, thank you for letting us be here tonight. I want to talk a little bit about the new service we have, Metro Now. I give everybody like a little pamphlet, so I give everybody one to follow along a little bit. There's two different ones I give. One's a more question answer, and this one is actually the one with the presentation. Okay? Metro Now is a on-demand service.
Yeah, please, because it is on ICRC, so please stay with the microphone.
Okay, that'll work. I didn't know if it was working. So, this service is an on-demand service. It's a service that you call up or use an app. It's $2 a ride. It stays in that zone. It's designed to help the people in that area. You know what I'm saying? So, if you need to go to the grocery store and it's an area, guess what? You can catch that. Go to the grocery store. You know, it's $2. Great service. We started it. We had the actual ribbon cutting in Springdale, Sharonville area. Everybody keeps saying, why haven't we got all of it across the county? Well, it's because it's hard getting buses. It's been a really struggle getting the buses. We've got 6 in, I believe, now, and it takes about 4 or 5 per zone. There's going to be 6 zones in Hamilton County. The service will run from in the morning from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Then on weekends, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's a service that you call up or you do on the app. It costs $2 per ride. It will come to your door. If you need to go downtown, the service don't go downtown, but it will take you to the bus stop. It'll actually take you. So if you can't make it, it'll take you out to the bus stop. If it's in that area, they'll take you to that area. It's supposed to be within 15 minutes. So it's a service that is very much needed in this region. So we're pretty excited about that. We got a designated app. So it's an app. It's you just pay on it, or you can pay cash on the bus. So we have a fare, and we do have one of the buses here tonight. One of the vehicles here. If you guys want to see that, how it works and so forth, because we want to advertise it and make sure we're getting it out there. And we got a lot of swag. So take all your swag you guys want to take. Metro Now, we're out here promoting it pretty heavy because we want everybody to enjoy the service. If you have kids, 2 kids can ride with you up to 35 inches for free. So you pay the $2. You have 2 kids; they can ride with you. You can have, if you have a car seat, they can buckle in there. In the car seats can if you need to. So that is something because that's been asked. So we can do that. It'll hold 2 wheelchairs at one time. So it's wheelchair accessible. So if you need to ride a wheelchair accessible, we got a ramp and it's right there for you. So it's a service it's very needed in this region. We're excited about it. There is a designated number to call. I give a flyer out, and I got flyers in the back too. On the flyer, it's got it on there. It's 513-551-5555. 55. So it's as easy as we can make it. We want people to be able to connect that. The Springdale area, they're already using it, and we're having people ride every day in the Springdale, Sharonville area. So I know one gentleman out there, he was pretty excited because he came to me and he says, hey, I'm going to have to start using Access because the routes had changed. And I said, well, they got this new service. Let's try it out. So I think almost every day he's going to work in Springdale on the service, $2. He's not going downtown. He's going straight to work. So he's pretty excited to hear all that for somebody like that, and the needs. If you notice, we have different zones. We got different zones laid out. If you go to our website itself, you can click on your address. It'll take you which zone you're in. So that's going to be on the app also. So if you guys go to the app, you can you click on it, you put your address in, it tells you which zone, it shows you where it's at. Like I said, the first zone's only started. The next part is the North College Hill, on the north side, on the up toward Coleraine area, that whole upper section there. That's the second section starting, and then it comes down. I believe this is going to be the third. We hope to have them all this year started. We're waiting on buses. That's the biggest issue we've challenged. We were supposed to start it in December. We didn't start it until May 22nd because of buses. Can't get them, so that's the hard part. So you have a question?
I do. I don't know if it's too much information at one time.
Yeah.
For me, it probably is. So that we would get the bus in our zip code, in our zone, I mean.
Yep.
And then if we want to go outside the zone, it'll take us to that zone area, and then we can pick up another one.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The first zone right now is a pilot. So we do know that it's been asked, will we change the route around or the vicinity? There's a good chance there's going to be some changes. It's a pilot. We went by we hired consultants to help us figure out what areas to go and how to do it. And so we know there's going to be possible changes because I've worked for Metro for 29 years. We've changed bus routes how many times? Yeah. So, we can change a service if we need to. It's really going to be on demand. What's what the people want.
Sure.
So,
Mr. Miller, how would you pay for it on the app, or can you pay for it?
You can pay it either way. You can pay cash. We got a box on the bus, or you can pay for it on the app, so you don't have to deal with it. You just no cash. You don't have to deal with it.
And just so I'm clear on what Ms. Dewald, because I kind of had that same question too. I'm not restricted from just my zone. Like if I'm, say, in the Blue Ash zone and I want to go to zone B, can I get into that zone, or will I need to do another $2?
So you would have to, as of right now, because of the pilot, there's this discussions, because that's a good question. That's discussions going on right now. Right now, you'd pay the $2 again to the next one. That's been brought up. That's something that wasn't thought about with the consultants. So they were like, wait a minute, we got to look at this. So those are ideas we're looking at, because there was a question, well, if I'm catching the bus, I usually can get a transfer, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't set up for a transfer because that's how it was set up. So there's already been discussions that's went to the execs and the sort of board in that discussions.
So I could stay on the van, pay an additional $2.
Well, so you'd connect another van.
Oh, I'll get
just connect another van because that one would stay in that area.
Okay, gotcha. Makes
now,
sense.
if you wanted to go downtown, it would take you to the bus stop.
Okay.
It'd take you to the stop. You catch the bus stop and go on downtown. Actually, this is one of our operators. He's been operating since it started. He said we've had people love riding it. So it's just a great service.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
have a question, Mr. Miller. If you call this app, and do they pick you up directly?
Yes.
And then if somebody else called, do they stop, pick up somebody else, and take you?
Well, our goal is to have
multiple
5 vehicles in a zone. So that gives you, if they're on the same street and they're within a couple minutes, they're probably going to pick you both up at the same time. But if you got 15 minutes apart, they're going to probably send a separate vehicle to get you. Okay, that's what our ultimate goal is. That's what we've been doing. That's the true to get you there quick. Now we had one gentleman. He's like, hey, he was actually put it on an app. You can say closest to this point. Well, he had some disability issues, so we said, why don't you just go to your address? And the bus, and now it comes to his address and picks him up at his address. He thought he'd have to walk down to the corner like he's used to. Oh, yeah. And now it's a door-to-door type service. They pull out front. He comes out, hops in the van, and he takes it to work. He actually works. He lives in Forest Park area, and he works in Springdale. Takes the bus over there, Then after he gets done, they come pick him up and takes him home. So compare with Uber. Uber, you know, is pretty expensive. Have you guys ever done Uber? $2 is pretty cheap to ride a service. Any other questions? Yes.
Is this an all-year thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, as if you look in the questions, there's a question flyer gave you guys on the third
Yeah.
page. It actually lists holidays it actually runs. It runs Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. So we're going to be running the service just like the Metro service all year round.
How much do you want to
And this is a questionnaire that I gave you guys. This is all the questions. It's just like if you have questions, if people call your office, say, hey, can you give us this? And you can look right there. We got the questions right there to answer it. We're trying to make it as easy as we can to serve the public.
Mr. Miller, I would just like to say I'm very excited to see this as a service, because I can remember years ago, I used to be able to catch the bus on Clover Nook to go downtown. But now, you know, from that area, there's no buses at all. So I would literally, it would take me longer to walk to a bus stop than it takes me to drive downtown. So.
Yeah, and so if I give everybody my business card. So if you guys have an issue or it comes up, you know, notify me, then we can look into it.
This just.
I know what this is.
It's a great.
It's a great service.
Great service.
So we got, like I said, it's going to be some growing pains as we go. So
As with anything.
it's new. It's a new service. Our access employees are the ones running it. So we've trying to hire quite a few more access operators to drive the vans. And Banjo, he'll tell you he's got uniforms for both. So if he needs him on the access side, he'll switch shirts and go drive for access. So,
Mr. Miller, I do have one more question.
what's that?
Maybe I heard it, I don't know. Without equipment, without wheelchairs and walkers, how many can be seated with no equipment? Like
So
there's
with no
400
equipment,
people.
it's supposed to be 8.
8?
Yes. And then you can, like I said, most of the seats have the clips for car seats if you have a car seat.
Sure.
So, you know, most of them, I think they all have a clip, I believe so. Yes, they all have them.
Okay.
With the handicap wheelchairs, it should be able to hold 10
Oh,
because it's got the two.
add to it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. Any questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Miller?
And before we leave, make sure you grab some swag. I don't want to take it back with me. I got to load up my car. And then the vehicle will be out here. I know you guys don't want to have a long meeting, but if you do, come out and look at it and take a picture with it. You know. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the Law Director's Report. Mr. Dieters?
I actually have a little bit of a report for once. I know Jennifer was probably going to speak to this in more detail, but we did have a meeting with JMA regarding some of the issues on Belmar. I know she sent an email out to everybody updating them on that. Her email pretty much covered everything that we talked about, but if there were any particular questions I can answer, I'll be happy to do that. Her email was pretty comprehensive, so there's no reason to go over it again. Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, did you say we received that email?
Yes.
Yeah, it went out last week,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like you.
Thursday or Friday.
That
Yeah, I don't remember which day, but it
I
was last
saw
week.
it.
Probably read
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dieters. Next up is Finance Director Report. Our Finance Director is not here, so we'll move on to call of members, starting with Ms. Dewald.
Thank you. I happened to be out on the road and I saw Miss, I believe her name is Bernice, who planted the flowers in front of our sign in front of the city center. And they're absolutely beautiful. Last year they were just gorgeous. And she is so interested and so loving with those plants. She's got the begonias set up because they like the hot weather. They'll bloom all summer long and into the fall. And then there's some kind of lily, a daylily that has yellow blooms that'll bloom most of the summer, and then those will fall off and just be nice and green. And then on the side, she's got some kind of, help me, Miss Bruner, some kind of grass.
Purple,
Purple.
purple grass.
And then she says, and after that, she might even plant some fall flowers in there. So I just thought it's beautiful. If you get a chance, pay attention when you go by. She's worked really hard in that hot sun.
Mr.
I'm done.
President,
Ms. Nichols?
starting to what she said, she did the pots also.
Yes, the
Signs,
pots.
If you haven't seen those. I'm I want to see if she can also do that piece of, I don't know, wall with the lilies in it. It's right before the sign when you enter the city. It needs some TLC. I think she would do a great job there, so.
Yeah.
Is that all you had, Ms. Dewald?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. President. I know this is not council related at all, but I'm very excited that my youngest son is now a college graduate. So he is so excited. He is a biomedical engineer.
Wow.
Officially. So I am very, very excited. That's why I missed the parade. So, and that is all I have. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Underwood. Next up is Ms. Alexander.
That's exciting. I love celebrating academic excellence. That's really exciting. I get kind of choked up. Our church celebrated graduates this past Sunday, both high school and collegiate, and the amount of the age groups. And I'm going to be going back to school myself, and it just inspired me so much. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes to see people my age attaining degrees, and that's just exciting. So, woo-hoo. Also, I'd like to thank everyone that came out to the parade. We had a great time. Got to ride on the back of the Jeep and hoot and holler and wave and stuff like that. It was a really good time, great weather. And that's all I have to say.
And for the record, Ms. Alexander did make Local 12, the Local 12 broadcast. Yes, your Jeep made the Local 12 broadcast. Yes.
I missed it.
You should go back and look at that on the website. I actually meant to email that to you and let you know that. But yes, she had the parade wave on. Your daughter was holding the sign with your name on it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Doing her job. Doing her job.
Better. That's a good picture.
Well, thank you, Ms. Alexander. Ms. Bruner.
The parade was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. It was a good day. It was a good day for the community. And I like to say to the Jaleel Williams family, the young lady, a victim of gun violence, I heard that she's in recovery and getting better.
That's awesome.
And our prayers are with her. And to Mary Jo for planting those sunflowers on Hamilton. That was a good deed in the sun and the heat. You know, the sunflowers not up yet, but y'all look out for them. They're right across from Penn Station, next to the credit union. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, that will bring us to remarks from the audience. Mr. Hedger, who do we have signed in?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a Darren Cornwell signed in. You could just approach the podium.
So please start with your name, your address again, and make sure you are speaking in the microphone. I know it's not working in here, but it is working on the recording.
Okay, sure. My name is Darren Cromwell. I stay on 1927 Goodman Avenue. Okay. It's okay place. Few issues. I like the young lady said about the flowers and how beautiful everything is. But the community is overgrowth with trees and grass. You know, if you go down here at Goodman, kids can't even walk across the sidewalk because there's so much grass and overgrowth with the trees that they're going in the street and going,
Is that on the corner?
It's not on the corner. It's actually, you know where that burnt house is down there on Goodman? Actually, I believe it's in front of that property.
Okay.
Okay, and that's kind of, a safety issue. But, and another thing was where I live, in order for me to get in and out of my house, I have to go through the alleys, and that's where my driveway is. Mm-hmm. And it's so overgrowth with trees and grass as tall as me between DeArmond and that block between DeArmond and Goodman, and where the new park that the guys are putting up, and it's very hard. When it rains, the trees, they lean over, they bend over, and it's hard to get in and, you know, out. So I just wanted to see if we can get that. And one more issue is that we don't have any sidewalks, and on none of the intersections over here on this side of Goodman and North College Hill, from Savannah's to Betts, every corner doesn't have a sidewalk. I sent my grandson, he wanted to go to the park, and I make sure you stay in the sidewalk, do not get out in that street, you know. He come back real fast and he says, I can't go because there's no sidewalk. And I said, my bad.
Wow.
So I made a notion to come down and talk. I have spoke with maintenance a few times, not to put anybody out there, but you know, this is probably the only way I can, maybe we can look into it, and maybe, you know, like you said, the flowers, they look good, they working with it, but in the community,
Exactly.
the trees are bending over in the streets, and grass everywhere. Then people live how it looks. You know, if you got a bunch of trees and uncut grass and stuff like that, what do they tend to dump stuff? And
So,
you know.
so Mr. Cromwell, I had a conversation with somebody in the community about that area,
Mhm.
and I wasn't aware of it, so I looked at the wrong corner. But
Mm.
there's another corner there that is a hazard waiting to happen.
Mhm.
So I have to say to you, if you don't, who will?
Right.
So
right.
we need people to step up and say, look, this needs to be done. I think we need to feel the anger from the residents to say, I am tired of looking at this.
Yeah.
So, but thank you.
Yeah. So it was just a little safety issue, and maybe we can look
I
into
didn't mean
it.
anger like you're really angry. We need to hear the,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I understand.
it's just not a happy place.
Right. And I sit here and I listen to y'all say, oh, the flowers are looking good and all this, and I'm thinking to myself like, man, I gotta go through the jungle to get home. But I know it's a good thing, but I just wanted to really add on it, especially the sidewalks. The sidewalks are there. I think that's a real safety hazard when you get to the corner and there's nothing on either way, and it's just like, oh man, I wonder if they know this, you know. So. That's about all I have, I guess.
Question.
And I heard you say about the speed bumps. That might be good on Goodman a little bit, because they do flap it down there pretty much, you know. So that might be a good idea.
Mr. Cromwell, we do have a question here.
Yes, ma'am.
The trees that are bent over, are they on someone in particular's property, or are they just?
Well, a few of them, I don't know. I don't know, like you know, the grass between the sidewalks and the curb. Some of them are like that.
Okay.
Some of them could be on property.
That's city property.
Yeah, you know.
Maintain that.
And I don't know who owns the alleys or not. You know, I see people in the alley where the fence is cut the yard off, but then between the fence and the actually alley, it's just,
Right.
I'm like, who's responsible for this, you know? So
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out, or you guys or something. So
Thank you, Mr. Cromwell.
yeah, I guess that's
Mr.
about
Cromwell,
it.
I do want to say too about those alleys,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been there since the beginning of our city. Some of the residents at one time were given the opportunity to purchase that part of the alley. We had a woman in here 3 or 4 years ago who had purchased hers, paid taxes on it all these years, and someone pops up and said, "Oh, guess what? That's not your property." So there are so many issues with the alleys.
Yeah.
And because they're so old, we don't have all the paper trail to figure out what the heck's going on.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be talking with code enforcement
Okay.
about that.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was
Yes,
it
ma'am.
being cut in the past?
Was it been cut?
Yeah. In the past?
One time, I think I said something to maintenance, especially on dearming right there at that little corner. The grass is actually taller than me, and I guess he cut it at that one time. I think they might cut it maybe once a year, but I don't know. Maybe it could be monitored. I don't know. So
All right. Thank you, sir.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's up to you.
No, you have to stay. No, no,
That's
no.
up to you.
Take the
No.
swag.
Yes.
Come on back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hedger, is there anyone else?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. That'll bring us to legislation.
Second reading, resolution number 13, 2023, a resolution approving the update of the solid waste management plan of the Hamilton County Solid Waste Management District. Mr. President, do you want me to keep reading through them?
Does anyone have any questions? If you have questions after he does the reading, just please tell me you have a question. Go ahead.
Okay. Second reading resolution number 14, 2023, a resolution authorizing the city to execute a contract for reconstruction of Joseph Court and Dodgen Court in the city of North College Hill. Second reading resolution number 15, 2023, a resolution authorizing the city to execute a contract for reconstruction of Bobolink Drive in the city of North College Hill. Second reading ordinance number 6, 2023, an ordinance to assess the costs of private lead line replacements for certain participating property owners and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda was further remarks from the audience as it pertains to legislation. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say regarding the legislation that was read tonight? All right, we'll move on to old business.
I have old business. Mr. President?
Ms. Brunner.
I will be picking a committee to be alternate after I attend the committees on the 12th and the 26th.
Okay. Thank you. Any other old business? Moving on to new business.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald?
I move to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I second that.
Motion by Ms. Dewald, second by Ms. Underwood to adjourn tonight's meeting. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Brenner.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.